Hello and welcome to another class where we learn one skill at a time. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a half drop seamless pattern in Affinity Studio, as well as how to test it out and create a pattern file. And as we go through this setup, I will show you a couple of big things, how to create symbols, how to set up your guides, how to create a live pattern preview, and when it makes sense to have a transparent background versus a solid white or fill background. I do also offer a ready-made half drop template, which I will link below if you are interested. But today we're focusing on building the template from scratch and testing it out so you really understand how it works. So let's get started. First things first, I'm going to stay in the pixel persona, so our tools look very similar. I have a custom studio, which if you'd like to see how I've done that, then you can watch that video up here. But for now, let's go ahead and open a new document, File, New. And I'm going to select 4000 pixels by 4000 pixels and make sure that it's at 300 dpi and the color format is CMYK. And this is because it is what the big industrial printers use, and therefore we're making sure that it's set up correctly for print on demand companies. And I'm making sure that the transparent background is turned off. Let's go ahead and create. So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and create a symbol. Now, symbols are really important because they actually will duplicate whatever's in the symbol across all the other symbols. And this really is important when it comes to our pattern preview. So let's go ahead and do that. In the left-hand side tool panel bar, we're looking for the shape tool, which is the rectangle tool. If you have a different shape, just hold it and it will give you the other options, but let's go ahead and select rectangle. Now just click and drag out, and because you haven't held shift, you can drag it to any shape that you would like. But what I want to do is click shift and it will keep it to the bounds of an actual square. Now let's just release it at any size because I'm going to go ahead and change the size in the transform panel, which is down here on the bottom right hand side of the screen. If yours is not here, all you have to do is go to Window, General, and just click Transform here. Okay, so now with this rectangle selected in the Layers panel, I want to go ahead and change the width to 2000 pixels and the height to 2000 pixels. Now I also want to make sure that it's center aligned to my page. So let's go ahead and click the Move tool, which is a V on your keyboard. And I'm going to use my snapping guides to make sure that it is center aligned. If you want to do it another way, then there's also this align panel up the top here, which if you can't see it, just right click and go to Customize Toolbar and you'll see it here, and all you have to do is just drag it and drop it. Okay, so now our square is centered. What I want to go ahead and do and make it a symbol. So let's head up to Vector and we're going to go Create Symbol. Now, not much changes on the face of it, but if you look to your Layers panel, now it has a solid orange line that goes down next to it, and that's now a symbol. So what I want to do is change the fill and the stroke of this shape, but you'll need to do it on the actual shape itself. So just click the little drop down and select the rectangle. Now up here with the toolbar at the top, we've got the fill, which I'm going to change to a nice orange color. I love orange. And I'm going to make the stroke like a deeper purpley kind of color. I'm going to make it 5 points. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is going to create like a guide and I want to be able to see it. The edit stroke should be aligned to the center, and that is it. So now what I want to do is duplicate this in the same format as a half drop template. So half drops are in columns, and then the next column is dropped down halfway of the tile before it. Okay, so what I want to do is duplicate this. And to do that, there are two options. You can either hit Command J and it will duplicate it, or you can click Option and drag it out. So I'm going to click Option and drag it out and lay it on top. Now, be mindful that you're not duplicating the rectangle, you're duplicating the symbol. If you were to duplicate the rectangle, then it would look like this. and there's two now. We don't want that. We want just one rectangle per symbol, okay? Okay, so what I want to do now is go ahead and just continue to duplicate this rectangle. And the next one is half the drop of the other, so we do that. And again over this side. Okay, so now we've gone outside of the bounds of our actually document file, and if we click /, we're able to see where these other tiles are going. Now I want to continue creating this half drop shape for a little bit more, because everything outside of the bounds of the box is going to be part of our pattern preview. So let's just continue to create a few more squares. Again, you can create more or less, but I think the little bit fuller pattern, you'll be able to see how the half drop is actually working. Okay, so let's focus on the fact that this is a symbol again. So symbols, whatever you do for one, you do for all of them, especially if you've duplicated the one symbol. So what we're going to do is select the center tile. So if you're not sure which one that is anymore, click /, and this is our center tile. What we're going to do is open up the symbol again, go to the rectangle, and go to the fill color and remove the fill. And now you can see how this affects all the symbols, because they are all the same symbol. So with that done, what we can see now is just our grid lines, which is exactly what we want. So what I want to do is make it easier for me to see the pattern preview, and to be able to do that, what I want to do is group the rest of the squares into one group, and that's going to be called our pattern preview. But I want to leave the first square alone. So click the first square and let's look to our layers panel, and we want to select every other symbol except that one. So let's click the one above it, hold Shift, scroll to the top and click the top one, and then Command G, and that is going to group all of them together except the one in the center, and we're going to call this pattern preview. Fantastic. And now what we're going to do is just slide that down to the bottom. So going back to our first symbol, we're going to go back to the drop down and we're going to name this guide. And that is basically the workout, sort of the layout, sorry, of the template. And what I'm going to do now is bring in one of my motifs, which I'm going to use one of my turtles. So I'm going to grab my turtle, bring him in, drop him in there. I'm just going to zoom in so we can see him a bit better. I'm just going to open him up and put him in the center. If you do not have anything in your asset panel, then all you do is to File, go down to Place and select it from your own library. So the next step here, as you're going to see, is it's not repeating. And that's because it's sitting outside of the symbol. So if you have a look to your layers panel, it's not sitting inside any of the symbols. So what I want to do is actually nest this into the symbol. So between the symbol and the guide, and drop it in. And now you can see here that this has also become a symbol. And you can see how it's repeating. Now, if you want to see this as a pattern preview, all we need to do is click the / and let's just zoom out just to make it easier. And now you can see how this half drop template is actually working. The reason I choose a white background here is because unless you're going to print on hoodies or t-shirts where the color of the fabric could change, I would really just prefer it to be on a solid white background, because then that just ensures that the color is the same throughout all my designs and isn't impacted by what color white the printers have got, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let's say now we want to test this out, we want to create a pattern file and we want to export it. So first things first, let's just remove the pattern preview by clicking /, and we're also going to remove the guide. So all we need to do is go to an original symbol and remove the little I, and that basically now has removed the guides. And this is what we're going to export, and we're going to test out and also create our pattern preview. Go ahead and export this. So click the little drop down box and click the JPEG, and I'm going to export this. Let's go ahead and create our pattern file and test it out at the same time. So let's open a new document, and let's make the pattern file. I'm just going to change the color to CMYK, and I'm going to go with 12,000 pixels by 12,000 pixels, and that's because for some companies like print on demand, this kind of size covers all the soft furnishings, and that's why I've chosen it. So let's go ahead and remove the transparent background and create document. So let's test it first. By doing that, we're going to have to go and place in our image. So click place. If you don't have this shortcut set up, then you go to File and then Place, and it will open up this same sort of Finder view. So we're going to open it, and we're going to go ahead and place it. Now, because the half drop has already been incorporated into this block tile, we can just duplicate it and put it side by side, up and down, and you can see how this is still a half drop template. If this wasn't a half drop, it would look like this. So now that we've tested out our pattern and we know that it works, I want to go ahead and create a pattern file. Now I could just continue duplicating this over and over and over again and filling this, but there might be some things that I want to change, like the rotation or the size of it. And how we do that is by doing a bitmap fill. So let's go ahead and just delete these layers. And what I'm going to now do is go to the rectangle tool and draw this over the full grid itself. So it should be 12,000 by 12,000. And the next step is I'm going to go ahead and get the fill tool, which is G on your keyboard. I'm going to click fill, and up here at the type it says solid. What I want to do is click that and go down to bitmap. And here it will allow me to select the block file tile that I need. So here is now what the big file looks like. And if I drag it down, you can see how it impacts the size of the actual block file tile. I can also rotate it if I like. Some platforms like Cottonbee or Spoonflower are happy with a single block tile as they are set up to offer that half drop setup, but print on demand sites such as Redbubble and Gelato would require you to have a pattern file of your half drop design already done. So personally, I prefer making sure that I just create a dedicated half drop tile file regardless. It just keeps everything really organized. This now is the pattern file concluded if you want, and all you have to do is save this either as a JPEG or whatever it is that you'd like. But in the meantime, let's go back to our original template, and to just make this a template, all we have to do is remove that middle motif, click sideways, turn on our guides again, and then save as. And now this is our finished block file template. When you're getting into pattern design, so understanding these common repeat types makes creating designs much, much easier. And again, once you've built a half drop structure like this one, you could reuse it again and again and again without actually having to rethink the setup. So folks, that is it. If you found this video helpful, then please hit that like and subscribe button. It genuinely helps me understand what kind of Affinity content is most useful for you and what videos I can make in the future. So thanks for watching, and as always, go beyond and create within.